Did you see this article? 4 people sent it to me, and it definitely got my attention. Might make you think twice about reaching for your favorite gum, huh? Now, before we all panic, let's dive into what this really means and more importantly, what you can do about it. Now, I personally don't usually chew gum, but I got a bunch, I did a little more digging, and here's what I came up with. Now, fair warning, I'm only going to unpack this at a surface level, so don't come after me. This is just meant to be an overview, not medical advice, more like the start of a conversation. Okay, so let's look closely at the actual study behind this scary headline. A UCLA study found that chewing gum releases hundreds of microplastics into saliva per piece, regardless of whether it's synthetic or natural. They tested multiple brands of natural and synthetic gums and discovered that a single piece could release up to 3,000 plastic particles, with 94% released within 8 minutes. The study identified common plastic polymers like polyethylene and polypropylene in both gum types, suggesting significant microplastic exposure. 2 graduate students at the University of California and an engineering professor at UCLA shared these findings at the American Chemical Society's 2025 meeting and expo in San Diego, which had about 12,000 presentations on a range of science topics. Really, really cool stuff. I only had one major issue. This was a single person chewing the gum in this study. So yes, just one study subject. And as someone who really does appreciate solid research, I've got to admit I was a little disappointed by that, but more because I had friends asking me if they should be really worried. And when a study uses a single subject, it's really a limited case study. A single subject study can provide some great insights, initial direction, but it's usually not enough to draw evidence, meaningful scientific conclusions, or really making a definite clinical recommendation, right? So reading scary headlines like that can definitely take you down this weird rabbit hole, and if you're not careful, you can find a lot of blogs, articles, and technically opinions at this point. That doesn't mean that microplastics aren't real, and it doesn't mean they're not a real concern, because they definitely are. Microplastics are tiny plastic particles, smaller than 5 millimeters, that break down from larger plastics. We even have nanoplastics that are even tinier, but they're literally everywhere. They're in our clothing, in the air we breathe, the water we drink, and even the food we eat. So how do microplastics enter our body? They can be inhaled through our air. They can be ingested through the food and water that we eat and drink. Microplastics can absorb through the skin, through cosmetics, and even our clothing. Several studies have found that microplastics are in the common foods and drinks, including bottled water, table salt, beer, honey, sugar, even seafood. And yes, some chewing gums contain plastic ingredients in their gum base, natural and synthetic types like polyvinyl acetate or polyethylene, that can introduce microplastics into your mouth. Now, scientists estimate that humans consume tens of thousands of microplastics every year. And if you look up the potential side effects on humans, this is the list that you're going to find online. While I do know that microplastics are widespread, the health effects aren't yet fully understood. We need more comprehensive research to truly understand how harmful these particles might be over time. And that takes time and a lot of money to do it correctly. Chewing gum occasionally probably isn't a huge concern, but the UCLA researchers did suggest that you stick to just one piece of gum and chew it for longer instead of grabbing a new fresh piece when the flavor starts to subside. Now, as a dental hygienist, I always recommend a sugar-free gum for a limited time so that you can stimulate salivary flow after a meal without putting your teeth at risk for decay. It helps loosen up the food bits, and perhaps a lot of you will want to choose a brand that have all natural ingredients. Now, honestly, I don't usually chew gum because my jaw hurts after a short period of time, but after buying several different types of gum just for my own observations, reading the ingredients on these can be kind of alarming. We've got sugar, corn syrup, aspartame, artificial ingredients, bioengineered food ingredients. If you're concerned and you want to reduce your overall exposure to microplastics, in general, here are some really simple tips. Try to avoid buying and drinking bottled water. Instead, switch out to metal, ceramic, or glass bottles. Consider water filtration on your house, or at least for your refrigerator. Ditch the laundry pods and go for liquids or powders instead. Avoid microwaving food in plastic containers. Heat can definitely release those microplastics into your food, so try to use glass or ceramic instead. Next, you might want to consider cutting down on single-use plastics like Ziploc bags. Switching to reusable silicone or glass containers. Also, you can replace your plastic cutting boards with wood or bamboo. Those natural options help reduce plastic particles. I actually have a titanium option. Dust and vacuum more often, and consider an air filter on your house. Steer towards sustainable brands that use natural ingredients whenever possible. Use baking soda and water and vinegar and water to clean your home. And finally, when it comes to chewing gum specifically, you might prefer brands that use all natural ingredients instead of synthetics and plastics. So look for gums made with chicle, which is a natural tree sap, and sweetened with ingredients like xylitol or stevia. Those alternatives taste great, they keep your breath fresh, and you don't have to worry about unwanted plastic additives. So here's my takeaway. Microplastics are real. We should take them seriously, but don't let alarming headlines scare you. Just take the time to investigate a little bit more, reach out to people that are really knowledgeable on the subjects, and small lifestyle changes like choosing natural products and reducing your plastic use can really help reduce your exposure. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do headlines like this worry you, or do they motivate you to make healthier choices? Let me know in the comments. I've also put a few links of those articles that might be helpful to you in the description of this video, just to kind of get you started down that rabbit hole. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.